Welcome back to the podcast First Available, where we talk all things disc golf. I am your host, Christopher Smith, and this is episode number 7, airing on March 18th, 2024. We got a few things on the agenda today, so I'll give you a quick rundown on what those will be, and then we'll kind of hop right into it. We'll be talking about the Open at Austin presented by Flight Factory Discs. We'll recap the MPO and FPO scores. And then I'll hop over and give some updates in regards to my YouTube channel and what's going on with me as far as tournaments and other disc golf related things going into the spring, as we're just a few days out of spring, which I cannot wait for. Before we get into all that, I set out on a fool's journey this year of trying to play at least one round of disc golf every single day. I wanted to see if I could do that this year. And the reason why that's foolish is, aside from living in the Midwest where the weather can just get shot really quick, my wife and, we have kids, they're in school. There's just, life happens. There's going to be days where you just can't get out and play. And that was the case over the weekend. I didn't play disc golf for the first time, both Saturday and Sunday. My wife had to go out of town for a roller derby event over in St. Louis. So I was here with the kids and we were hanging out, and we actually went on Saturday to a disc golf park, and we were going to get around in and play and whatnot. But the weather was just too bad. It was super windy and pretty cold. So I just let the girls play out in the swing set for a little bit, and they were over it in about 15 minutes and we headed home. So it just didn't work out this weekend in that regard. It's probably a good thing. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but we had family here just a couple weeks ago visiting. They were in town for a few weeks, and everyone in this household, my son, my 2 daughters, my wife, both parents, not me, but both my wife's parents, everyone was miserable. They were all sick. Somehow I didn't get sick during all that until the day the house cleared out. And then I got it, and it wasn't that bad for me. It was just a headache and like a little bit of a stuffy nose. I didn't have like fever or anything like that, so nothing concerning. But now it's just the stuffy nose thing is just like, I'm a few days out from being clear of that, and it's just driving me nuts. And aside from that, if you don't know me personally, I've had some major knee issues over the years. A couple weeks ago, I did an episode on my YouTube channel about building a course in my backyard, and I had mentioned it during that the reason why I was doing such a small little video that day was to try to get something published. But that was the day I started noticing my knee was acting up and bothering me. So I tore my MCL twice. I tore it in 2013 and then in 2018. In 2018, I had to have surgery on it. And then in 2021, was it 2021? No, it was 2022. 2022, September, I tore my ACL playing basketball. I was trying to just play basketball, pick up basketball with a bunch of friends every Sunday just for extra exercise. I'm not good at basketball. Honestly, don't even like playing it. I like watching it from time to time, especially like college basketball, March Madness. But I don't really care for playing it. But I was doing it for the exercise, and I'm not good at it. And I completely folded my knee inside out, blew my ACL, and I had to have a bare implant put in it. Anyways, not to go down that road, but the whole moral of that story is me trying to play disc golf every single day this year, on top of being sick, the weather, wearing out my knee, putting that much stress on it. It was probably a really good thing that I didn't play the last 2 days and got some sort of recuperation. I will say that I got, when my son allowed me to, got some good catch-up sleep on Saturday evening and going into today, Sunday. But I'll digress from that. Let's hop in and talk about the Open at Austin presented by Flight Factory Discs FPO results first. All right, so if you missed the coverage of the FPO this weekend, it was pretty amazing. I mean, FPO and MPO were both great. This was by far, in my opinion, I know this is our third event of the season of the tour, but it was by far the best one. I will say that the weather in general has been pretty disappointing, and I'll kind of get into that more as we talk about the MPO because it affected that more. But the weather at the event in Florida was really bad. And then the weather this weekend was pretty bad. But all that aside, talking about FPO, when I watch these events, both FPO and MPO, I generally have, a handful of players that I like to root for. But I always find myself that almost no matter what, when whoever is having a really good round or a really good tournament, I find myself rooting for whoever is doing that, just because I enjoy the sport so much that I care much more about seeing good disc golf than what I do seeing a particular individual succeed, if that makes any sense. I'm really a fan of the game more so than the players. And I just like to see players that go out there and have a good time, play well, and just enjoy themselves. And that brings me to one Miss Ohn'ed Scoggins, who went out and destroyed this weekend. She had a crazy round on Saturday, round 2. Let's talk about her score real quick. She shot a 172 overall total strokes. So she round 163, round 2 53, and round 3, the final round, a 56. So for her round 2, I want to say it was like a 1055 rated round. We're going to pop it up. Let me share my screen here and we'll look over some Ohn'ed Scoggins and others. Yeah, so Ohn'ed shot a 1055 rated round 2, and the Cat Merch was playing lights out as well for the first 2 rounds. She shot a 1008. Missy Gannon right behind. I'm just looking at round 2 right here at the moment. But going back to the overall scores, Ohn'ed Scoggins, whenever I watch Ohn'ed play, so generally what I like to root for, or who I like to root for, I always find myself rooting for, like, in the FPO wise, Kristen Tatar, Ella Hansen. I like when she's doing well. I've been pretty vocal this year about Holland Hanley being kind of my pick for this breakout season, which she's always in. Where's she at here? She was 16th this weekend, so kind of took a step back there for her. Didn't see her on any coverage. Looks like it was a rough go, but all players will have that. I've enjoyed watching Evelina Salonen play well this year. It always is, to me, whoever is playing well, as long as they have a good attitude, like, I enjoy watching it. So Ohn'ed Scoggins is one of those players where she's always in the conversation, right? She's always in that top 10, usually in the top 5. And it's really weird watching her play. So just talking about her throw real quick, she's well known for that super overstable, almost an overhand type forehand player. And every time she throws that disc, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's going to burn over into the ground because it's got so much angle on it. And that, even to me, if it doesn't burn over, if it comes out of it, I still feel like it's not going to get any flight. And somehow when hers does it, it comes out of that turn, and as it starts to come out of it, lifts. But it's impressive to watch, and I love it. And Ohn'ed Scoggins, watching her interview after playing is a real treat. I love when she's on the microphone. She's always got a good attitude. She's extremely funny. She's very sportsmanlike. I don't know. I feel like if there's anyone that doesn't like Ohn'ed Scoggins for any reason, that is definitely a you problem, not an Ohn'ed Scoggins problem. It's really amazing to watch her do what she does. And I'm sure most of you that listen to this probably know she's 42 years old. She's over that prime for sports, but she's still shooting very well. Now, I will say, going into the final round, Kristen Tatar had I want to say a triple bogey at the end of round 2. Let's take a look. If I recall correctly. Yeah, she had, so Kristen started off, I believe it was 9 strokes behind Ohn'ed today. And that was due to, this triple bogey right here on 18 on the round 2. So that aside, you never count Kristen out, even if you're down by 9 strokes, which is pretty insurmountable most of the times. Because even if you're down 9 and you go out and shoot 18 under, all right, well, you made up 18 strokes, but you're counting on that other person not getting, 9 birdies as well. And if you're able to do 18 on a course, someone else, we're talking about pros here, someone else is probably going to do 9. So being 9 behind, you're going to need some help. Kristen would have needed Ohn'ed to have a bad day, and Ohn'ed Scoggins wasn't having any of that. Any chance Ohn'ed Scoggins got to score today in round 3, she was just nailing everything. It was crazy. I loved watching it. Missy Gannon shot pretty well today. A few errors here and there. Let's go over the overall scores. We'll do like a top 10-ish type thing here. So you got Ohn'ed Scoggins, who won the event. Kristen Tatar, obviously, in second. I don't know if people are going to overreact to that, because that tends to be the case. And we see it with people talking about Paige Pierce or Katrina Allen. Just last weekend, I saw people saying Katrina Allen was washed up. And while she didn't win, she's over here in one stroke out of third place, right? So she finished with a 191, Katrina Allen did. If she would have had a 189, so two strokes, I guess, technically, she would have been in fourth place. Or just one stroke better, she would have been at least tied for fourth place. So Katrina Allen, not washed up. People in sports, or fans of sports, tend to just overreact day to day and don't understand, or I don't know if they understand it or not. I don't care if they don't understand it. But anyways, moral of the story, let's not overreact to someone having too good of a day or too good of a tournament, or the opposite of that, someone having just a bad day or bad tournament. Things happen. But going over this top list again, Ohn'ed first place, Kristen Tatar second place by 11 strokes. So when I say Ohn'ed lit the weekend up, she absolutely lit the weekend up. Missy Gannon in third, Natalie Ryan, Henna Blomroos, Kat Murch all tied for fourth. Katrina Allen in seventh, Evelina Solonen in eighth, Valerie Mondahano, who was quietly in ninth place, tied with Heidi Lane and Allie Smith as well. I saw coverage of Heidi Lane and Allie Smith. I don't recall seeing any coverage of Valerie over the weekend. And then Rebecca Cox. I was really hoping, after watching her round one results, that she would have been up there in that top 5 conversation by the end of the tournament. But just looks like the round 2 and round 3, she didn't do quite as well. She didn't do bad by any means. I mean, she was the last player in the field to finish under par. Everyone below her was either even or over par, which 13th place, you got Candice Burge, and then also tied for 13th, Lucky Lorenzen. And that'll round that out. Juliana, honorable mention here, Juliana Korver at 15th. So, yeah, I don't know. Rebecca Cox is another one of those players that I would like to see her, get up there and start getting some podium finishes. I enjoy watching her play whenever she's on. Allie Smith has been playing really well this year. Obviously, she was an all-star. So the FPO field, it seems like it's starting to get a little bit more diverse, which is a good thing. It absolutely needs it. This is what you're not going to see. Going from first place just down to 13th, you're not going to see a 26-stroke swing in the MPO field. The MPO field is much more saturated and good players. And we're going to be talking about that here in a moment, because the MPO was just as good this weekend as far as the entertainment value that they provided. But just real quick, finishing up some names in here. Again, just because people like to talk about it, Paige Pierce is in 40th place. Again, she's coming off of a season-ending injury, and she is the defending champion, I believe, from last year. If I recall correctly, this was the event that she won last year when people were starting to doubt her, and that kind of silenced that. And then she, not too long after, had injured her, I think it was her ankle she had to have surgery on. But that's it, I think. Now, I thought that I just saw a name in here that I did not. I was looking for Maria Oliva, just because I thought that I saw her name in here, and I must have seen this Maria and then the Natalie Oritz below that. Anyways, no reason to bring her up. I was just curious to wonder if she had actually competed this weekend. I don't know if she was originally planning on and dropped out, or if she just had no intentions on being in the Austin Open. That doesn't really matter. Let's hop over and talk about MPO, because the MPO was awesome as well. So if you missed it, Nicholas Antala won his first Disc Golf Pro Tour event, and he becomes the first Finnish player to ever win a Disc Golf Pro Tour event. And it was, again, super exciting. I will say that on round 3 today, during the FPO coverage, I want to say they were probably around hole 15ish. They were the majority of the way through their day when it got called for rain, for a storm delay. And that storm delay was roughly an hour. I didn't time it. I didn't watch it. Just had the screen up, was waiting for it to turn back on. And I want to say about an hour went by. And I was wondering how that would impact the MPO. Would they have enough time to finish their day? Unfortunately, it came down to shortening the day for the MPO field. They had to take 3 holes out, right? So I think they dropped, I know the finishing holes were 14, 17, and 18. So they skipped, I want to say they skipped 12, 15, and 16. Let's hop into a score here real quick. I'll pull it up on screen for anyone that's watching along. And so I was curious what they would do with that as well. But it looks like they just assign, I've never seen this happen, so I didn't know if they would just like not count those holes or if they do what it looks like they did here by giving everyone par. So for 12, 15, and 16, everyone should have par, and that looks to be the case here. And I didn't know at what point that they had made that decision, because obviously if, you know, these early cards start playing round 3, I don't think you can then later on, you know, after they've already played those holes, like change it and remove those holes out. Just because I'm down here. Here's Scott. He had a rough weekend, which he was pretty vocal about on his social media, which is vocal in a good way. Scott's awesome. Even though he had a rough weekend, like his vocality about his rough weekend was a positive spin on it and what he plans on doing. But I digress. Let's talk about the deserved champion, Nicholas Ohn'ed. I was super excited to see him win this. What I was scared of was that it was going to come down to a tie, and I wasn't sure how they were going to handle the playoff, because if you were watching the live coverage, it looks like it's still daylight out there. And this happened at, was it Idlewild last year? I think it was. I don't remember if it was Idlewild or if it was Ledgestone. I think it was Idlewild, but same thing happened where the chase and lead card like we're finishing in the dark, and from our perspective as viewers on DGN, because they have such good cameras, it looks like there's some light out there and it's like pitch black, and I was worried about that being the case. So Nicholas Ohn'ed came in with the lead today, was playing really well. You can see here it was basically him, Kyle Klein, and Calvin Heimberg for the majority of the day. There were some other names that were in there early on in round 3, like Gannon Buhr, Anthony Barella. Cole Riddallen was kind of in that conversation, but it was really those 5. Anthony Barella, Gannon Buhr, and then Calvin Heimberg, Kyle Klein, and Nicholas Ohn'ed. Now, Gannon Buhr had a couple bogeys in here. Really not as bad as I had thought. I think it's the pars. You know, he just wasn't scoring good enough to keep up with that pace. But he won this event last year, now that I'm thinking about that as well. And he's still, again, he's finishing, you know, top 5 like every event, if not winning it this year. Anthony Barella, same thing. He's playing really good this year. Like, it's starting to get consistent. When these young players are starting to consistently finish in that top 5, top 10 maybe at times, but you know, they're not having those days where they're falling off, it doesn't seem like. And Calvin Heimberg had no forehand this weekend. He's battling an injury himself that kept him out last weekend, so he was throwing all backhand. Calvin Heimberg was in it. Let's talk about him first, since he finished in 3rd. He was tied going into hole 18 at 26 under, and Kyle Klein had already finished at 26 under. And Calvin Heimberg steps up to the tee of hole number 18, and he throws a bad drive. It goes out of bounds right. And from where he was at, this is a par 4, so he's throwing 3 from way back, maybe 450 feet away from the pin on a wooded hole with OB right the whole way. And he just laced a shot down there, got himself up to, I want to say maybe about a 40-footer, I would guess. It was early circle 2, I want to say. Maybe not early, you know, that mid circle 2-ish type area. A place where he can make it, and it was a little bit of an obstructed putt, but he ran it, and it hit the front right of the cage on more of an Anheuser type line, and it had a really weird bounce, because I would expect if you hit the front cage on that, the bottom of your disc hitting the front cage on that, I would expect that to kind of ricochet up and to the right, and his just kind of like popped straight up and back to the left. But anyways, it didn't go in. He took a bogey, unfortunately, on that and lost a stroke, finishing him at 3rd place. Now, I will say that I was kind of hoping that he would make that and save at 26 to tie Kyle Klein, who was on the 3rd card, right? So Kyle Klein was in the lead, 26 under, from the 3rd card, and he would have been the first player ever to win a Disc Golf Pro Tour event from the 3rd card. But he was sitting there at 26 under, and then since Calvin Heimberg fell back to 25 under, I was like, okay, well, now it comes down to Kyle Klein or Nicholas Antala. And Nicholas Antala had holes 14, 17, and 18 to play. 3 holes left. He was down by 1. He was sitting at 25 under. All right, so he needed 1 to tie, 2 to win with, no bogeys. And he got on hole 14, he was sitting there putting for birdie from probably 20, 25 feet, but it was on a uphill putt. And you could tell watching him. I wish I had footage to share of doing that. Maybe that's something I'll look at doing in future episodes, is sharing some like highlight footage of stuff like this, because he was setting up the putt and you could just tell that he was not comfortable. And I really do think it was the incline of that hill. He pumped, I don't want to call it pump fake because he's not trying to fake someone out, but kind of like how Jacob Curtis does, where he's just not letting go of the disc. Nicholas Antala on hole 14 did that more than normal for him. And then he just missed that putt right. So that was the one I was really sitting here thinking, like, don't let this kid lose this tournament because he missed, a circle 1 putt. Like, that would be terrible. But he goes over to hole 17, which is no easy hole. It's a 410-foot par 3 through a bunch of woods. And he throws up there, and I think, again, he had circle 2 there. Will this tell me your stats? Oh, it certainly will. Look how good that is. All right, so, it probably will show you guys if I put it on the screen. All right, so for hole 17, he gets up here, and he gets to circle 2, 46 feet. So he's sitting there 46 feet away on hole 17, looking at a putt to tie, right? And he nails it. And it was a good putt the whole way, too. And like to do that after immediately having missed the previous putt on hole 14, that was a circle 1 putt, like the kid's got, he's got the grit. But then he goes into hole 18. Hole 18 was really a score separator. It was a hole that, most people weren't birdieing it. You were probably feeling pretty good to get out with a par, and a lot of people were going bogey or worse. Let's just look down the field here. You got Kyle Klein himself parred it. Calvin, bogey, par. Here's a couple birdies. Gannon Burke, Holford Allen, and Andrew Marweed. And then the rest of this is going to start looking a lot more like pars and bogeys with your occasional birdie sprinkled in here. Like hole 18 was not the easiest hole by any stretch. So here's what you're looking at if you're Nicholas Antala. Do you try to drive for birdie and win this thing in regulation, knowing that you are running out of daylight? Because what happens if you go to a tiebreaker? And this is what I was saying when I was talking about the FPO when they took the thunderstorm delay. How would that impact the MPO? Because at one point it was looking like it was going to be Calvin Heimberg, Kyle Klein, Nicholas Antala for a 3-way playoff. Obviously, Calvin Heimberg fell out of that with that bogey on 18. But then it was still looking very likely it could be Kyle Klein and Nicholas Antala. And I don't know that they would have even really been able to do a playoff. Like, I'm kind of glad it didn't happen because I wanted Nicholas to win that in the position he was in. Nothing against Kyle Klein because I love watching Kyle Klein play as well. He's a great player. But it was Nicholas's turn in my mind, especially after last weekend at, where were they at? Waco, where he was so close to winning there and just couldn't finish at the end. I was very happy to see him do it this time. But I was curious to see what would happen if they went to a playoff and it was pitch dark. Would they do I don't know. Philo said it, maybe a CTP. I don't know if they would have had to try to come out tomorrow. No idea. So, while I was interested to see how that would unfold, I'm glad it didn't happen to Nicholas in this situation. He stepped up here on hole 18 through an absolute, I'm trying to recall his drive, because it was a good drive. Yeah, it was a really good drive. It was a really good drive. Nice hyzer flip, if I recall, right up the middle, missed all the trees, was sitting in position. I don't think it was by far the longest drive of the group, but it was a good, solid drive. It was good and safe. And then his second shot got him up into circle 2. And you could tell he couldn't see. When he came up and threw this force turnover with an overstable mid, I think. It was definitely an overstable disc. But you could see after he let go, he kind of had to bend down and look around like with his hands on his knees, like really straining his eyes to see where that's going to land because it was so dark. And it kicked over to circle 2 barely. I didn't realize it was this close to circle one. 35 feet though. So he's 35 feet away, looking at a birdie to win in regulation. Worst case scenario, if he misses that, he should be able to clean up par and go to a playoff. But the kid just stepped up to that putt and with ice in his veins, nailed it and just let out some emotion. And watching, because he wasn't the last one to putt, basically everyone else on the card had to finish out their putts. But when it was all said and done, they were crowning him at the end, giving him his trophy, and he kind of, he started crying. It's like, it's so weird to be some person like me that's just, some dude sitting at home watching disc golf on TV and like actually feel like you can feel the emotions of this kid finally getting that win. Because, I'm sure these players, they pour their hearts and soul into this, most of them. And the last thing they want to do is to be on tour for a really long time and still be that talk of, will they ever get their Disc Golf Pro Tour win? We saw it with Matty O last year, all the emotion that everyone let out. Everyone was super excited when he won that tournament last year because the dude's been putting in the work for such a long time. It was really nice to see that finally pay off for him. And that's why I like Niklas getting his win. Going back to last weekend at Waco, that's kind of why I wanted Luke Humphreys to win. I like it when I see these people that put in the time and the effort when they get their reward from it. So to see that for Niklas here, I was super excited about it. Like I said, I felt like I had some emotional investment in it, and I didn't. But it was just exciting to see the young man play as well as he did and get rewarded for doing so. But let's go down the rest of the scoreboard real quick and just see if there's any more notable names. So again, we'll just start from the top. Niklas Antela first, Kyle Klein second, Calvin Heimberg third, Anthony Barella and Gannon Burr tied for fourth. Cole Redallen was playing really good this weekend, along with Andrew Marweed, tied at sixth. Corey Ellis was playing good. He had one hole there today that kind of bit him at the end and just took him out of the running. I want to say it was a wooded hole. Nope. Clicked on his name. Don't want to do that. Let's see what that was. He still shot a 56 today, though. Where are you at, Mr. Ellis? He's another player. When he won that European Open last year, it was exciting to see him do that. Yeah, hole 14 was the one that got a hold of him. He got into some early trouble and then got into double trouble trying to get out of it. So it happens. Chris Dickerson was looking good out there, along with Matthew Orm, both tied for ninth. Evan Smith at 11th, Ezra Robinson, and Joseph Anderson, Joseph Anderson was on the lead card, I believe, today, tied for 12th. And then I think from that point on, we really didn't see any of these guys on any of the coverage. Adam Hammis at 14th, Gavin Rathbun at 15. He was on some early coverage on round 2, I believe it was. Yeah, he shot a 54 on day 1, so really good there. Bradley Williams was on the lead card on round 1. Finished tied at 16th, along with Aaron Gossage, Mason Ford, Jacob Sumerad, and Simon Lizotte, who has been kind of quiet this year. I mean, he didn't play, bad here. 173, he was 11 strokes out of the lead. And then just continue on down through this, just a few more names. Joel Freeman at 21, Paul Macbeth at 22, along with Matt Bell, James Proctor at 24, along with a whole host of other people. So that's kind of where the cut was. Just scroll through here real quick, see if there's anything else. Nothing really else worth noting in here. But like I said at the beginning of this episode, this weekend was really electric. It was, in my opinion, the best weekend of disc golf so far as pro disc golf goes. Enjoyed watching it, and while I'm not looking forward to having a week off, I got some stuff going on this week that this is kind of good timing for there not to be an event this weekend. So real quick, before we shift our focus off of the Disc Golf Pro Tour, let's just take a look at the upcoming schedule. So let's actually go to Disc Golf Pro Tour. I want to say the next one is in 2 weeks. All right, yep. So we just did the Open at Austin, and then the Lone Star Disc Texas State Championships will be March 29th through March 31st. So that'll be 2 weekends from now in Houston, Texas. And that should wrap up the Texas loop. And then there'll be another 2 weeks off before we get into Jonesboro. So we're really starting to get things rolling here. I'm excited to see a lot of these events. It feels pretty weird. I'm not sure how to describe it, because I remember when I first started watching disc golf, 2022 is really this. I started watching in 2021 at the Maple Valley Open. So, that was at the end of the season. 2022 was the first year where I really actually started watching some consistent events during the year. And then last year, 2023, was where I actually was watching like every weekend. Unless I had something that prevented me from doing it, that was what I was doing. So this year, as I see these events roll around, I'm actually remembering, oh yeah, I remember watching this hole and that player from, last year. So I'm starting to get that history built in myself. Now, I will say with all that said, that it seems like these first two events at Waco and Austin, were not the first two, but events number 2 and 3. Anyways, the events at Waco and Austin, it seems like the holes and the layouts have changed quite a bit from the first 2 years that I've been watching. So interesting to see. But I think that's it for all that kind of stuff. Let's talk about my own stuff. So shifting focus over to my YouTube channel. If you missed it, we had hit 100 subscribers, like 10 days ago. And I put out the little video talking about ordering the custom Axiom hex, which I did. I ordered 2 of them with the first available logo on it, which I really love. Thought it looked really cool. And I put out the video saying that, we were doing the raffle draw. Basically, you just submit your name into the form and it'll put your name in, then we'll spin a wheel and it'll pick it. And it didn't get as many entries as I would think for giving away a free disc. And I was asking Ross, are people concerned? Because I know from my perspective, I would be a little bit hesitant. Like, I don't know what this person's going to do. Now, the only information I was requiring was your first name, last name, and email address. And that way, when I picked you as a winner, I could reach out to you and coordinate shipping the disc to you. But I do understand people's hesitation if they're like, oh man, the last thing I want to do is enter into a contest to win some little $20 disc, and now I'm going to be getting spam emails. So if anyone watches this episode, if that's something you're concerned about, the moment I get that disc shipped out to our winner, which we did select yesterday, congratulations to Guy Ham, who is our winner on that. The moment I get that disc shipped out, I will delete all that data from that form. I have no interest in doing anything with anyone's information. I actually, in my personal work life, that's a weird thing to say. In my professional work life, I'm actually a programmer and a data analyst, and I take data issues very seriously. It's one of the main reasons that someone in my line of work can be terminated is if you accidentally send personal identifiable information to the wrong person. Trust me, there's a bunch of acronyms and nerdy stuff that you don't want to hear me start talking about with work. Which, oddly enough, I'm going to have a work thing to talk about here in a moment. But anyways, the 100 subscriber thing, it was successful. I will say that in just the week that contest was running, from the day that we hit 100 to the day that we picked the winner, we got another 24 subscribers just in that time span. So thank you to everyone that's been watching and joining along. Thank you if you've been sharing, and thank you to everyone that's new to the channel. I will do another giveaway. It's going to be a consistent thing. I'm going to start setting normal milestones from, we did 100. I think the next one will be 250. We'll try to keep it reasonable. After that, it'll be 500, and then probably 750, and probably do like every 2. Now, this is all assuming that we ever get to that place. I will say that if you don't know, I did YouTube on a different channel. I started it back in 2017. I did it for like 2.5 years. And I was able to grow that channel up to having like close to 4,000 subscribers. But I don't like the way that I did it. It didn't seem organic. I tried to use every method that I could to get the subscriber. Like one of the methods that you could use is there's a website to where you can go sign up for, and it's basically like creators get on there. It's like if I were to put my channel on there and I would tell people, hey, if you subscribe to me, I'll subscribe to you. And it doesn't do you any good. And I've avoided doing that on this channel. I want this channel to be organic. I want people to come here because they like what I put on the channel. I want the people that come here to form more of a community. I would personally love it for anyone that's already subscribed or anyone that comes along. If there's something that I don't do that you would like to see, if there's certain types of videos, like certainly either put it in a comment on one of my videos or just reach out to my email, Discsmith discgolf@gmail.com. And let me know, because I actually want to do this the right way and enjoy it. I care much more about the quality of the content than I do about the quantity of the numbers and all that. And that's why there's certain things I refuse to do that I know that will help you grow in the beginning, like with the clickbait thumbnails. I got close to doing one. One of my thumbnails was a little clickbaity when I was talking about the new Eagle putter, because it was right when Eagle McMahon had signed with MVP, and it was right when I had got my Eagle Wigs putter from Temu. So I kind of fished that out there, and I will tell you, I saw some negative feedback on that through the like and dislike button. So, anyways, I'll digress from all that. Like I said, we'll do another giveaway at 250, and it really is. My giveaways are not going to be the type of giveaways to where you need to be subscribed, you need to click like, you need to put a comment. I did all that on that gaming channel back in the day. I don't want to do that here. When I do a giveaway, it's legitimately my way of saying thank you to all of you that come around anyways, right? I'm not going to make you jump through hoops. The only thing I'm going to have to make you do is give me your name and email address so I have a way to contact you. But I'm looking forward to doing the next one. Hopefully, I don't know, realistically, looking at a goal, maybe by this summer, we can get to that 250 and do another giveaway. If you have any feedback on the giveaway item, whether it be a disc or another item or another, stamp or whatever it may be, I am all ears at all times. So feel free to let me know. Moving on to other items on the channel. If you didn't see, we did complete the first episode of the Putter Madness. Again, there'll be 4 regional videos. We're doing one at Kettering, one at Carroll and Beaver Creek, one at Moraine, and one at Xenia. The Kettering one posted last week. Me personally, and I'm a little bit biased because it's my video, but I loved it. It was a lot of fun. We filmed the Beaver Creek Carroll one on Friday this past week, so just a couple days ago, and I literally just finished rendering it right before I started recording this episode. That's why I'm recording so late tonight. But that's ready to go. So here on Wednesday, the 20th, March 20th, the second regional play from the Putter Madness will be live on my YouTube channel, so make sure to check that out. It's a lot of fun. I will say that it's played out a lot differently than the Kettering one. Also playing with some new graphics and stuff there. So other than that, I've already got videos planned for Wednesday and Friday this week. That's kind of my schedule. I try to put out the podcast on Monday. I try to put out a video of some sort on Wednesday and Friday. It's a lot more work than I thought doing 2 videos and a podcast a week would be, but I do enjoy doing it. But the reason why I'm telling you all this is because I do have a wedding to attend this week, so I'm going to be out of town for a couple days. But I've already got all the coverage, all my uploads will be ready to go before I head out of town, so we won't skip a beat there. Fortunately, I already had some things in the pipeline to help cover that while I'll be out of town. I'm not going to be able to take my discs with me. I'll probably take my elevation binks, my elevation koi with me and throw them in the bag just in case I have time to hit a park, but I'll be in Florida for about 3 days. So looking forward to some weather down there. I am long-winded. All right, so we talked about the YouTube channel. Let's talk about tournament play stuff here. So like I had mentioned previously, I'm trying to do a tournament of some sort once a month, every month for this year. That's my goal. It's kind of lofty from a person that played one tournament each year to go into playing one tournament a month for the entire year. But so far, so good. We started off this year. What did we do? The first one, I don't remember the name of it, but it was my first solo tournament that we did in Fairborn. Then Ross and I did the Freezer Bowl Biop in February. And then March, I did the Raider Cup. I'm still looking for, I'm going to throw up on the screen here, Disc Golf Scene, because I'm looking around. I'm still looking for an April event. And I'm thinking This Schaefer's Auto Sales Open at Echo Valley still has quite a bit of room for registration on it, and it's at the end of the month, April 27th, and it's a C tier, kind of like doing the C tier stuff right now. So I'm most likely going to sign up for this. I just got to check with my wife's schedule, make sure that she doesn't have roller derby already committed that weekend. And I also like looking for the one round events, just because, again, I'm married. My wife has stuff to do on Sundays. So like Sunday mornings, if I get to play disc golf, it's got to be early anyways. And I don't want to ask her, she already goes out of her way enough as it is for me to play, every day as it is. I don't want her to start moving her schedule around unless it's, really important. But I'm going to look into signing up for this one. I did already sign up for an event in June, but before I talk about that, there was another event in May that I'm going to try to sign up for. It's also at Echo Valley right here, the 23rd Echo Valley Biop, with Carl hosting this one. So I sent that to Ross. If he is able to make that, we'll sign up for that one. That'll be fun. I kind of like doing this alternating, like doing a solo 1 month and then a biop the next month. It kind of helps take the pressure off and keep it a little bit more fun and not worry about going out and shooting bad, to a certain degree. But then for June, I did sign up for the Scott Burnett Open. Hopped right into this one nice and early. Oh, I don't know. This one's going to be a big one. I think this is a 2-rounder, right? Yeah, this is a 2-rounder. So I got to look into where I'll be playing and all that. But anyways, I think my pool is going to be at Echo and Fairborn, if I remember correctly. But kind of nervous and kind of exciting because I remember playing this. Well, never mind. That doesn't make any sense. I was about to say I remember playing this layout at Arthur Fisher last year, but we won't be playing Arthur Fisher this year for this one. There's some changes going on locally that the Arthur Fisher course will be reserved for the junior event, which is pretty cool. I'm all in for that. So anyways, I'm already signed up for this MA40. Like I said, I'll plan on signing up for that Schaefer Auto Sales one also as an MA40, and then if we can get Ross on board for that buy-up for May, we'll do that. If not, I'll find something else. But that'll get us through June, and then all I got to do is find a July event, and I already know for August I'll be doing the Hazy Shade buy-up, so I don't know, maybe for July, actually, you know what, here's a buy-up too. I don't know, I'll look around. I may end up expanding this a little bit. I try to keep it within like 50 miles of Dayton. Obviously, we have enough disc golf courses around here that's usually easy to accommodate. But if not, I may end up expanding and maybe looking at going a little bit further north or northeast into other parts of Ohio, or maybe even a little bit into Indiana. I don't know. If you are someone that views or watches and you know of anything, again, I'm always open ear, so feel free to send it my way. But for me, that's it. Like I said, I always plan on these episodes being kind of shorter when I don't have someone on with me, or, nothing specific to talk about, like a tournament that I played in. If it's just me trying to recap a few scores and talk about a video on my channel, I figure that might take me 20 minutes. And then I look down and it says 50:05, 50:06, 50:07, and that's where I'm going to end you at today. As always, I do appreciate you. I will see you all next week. Again, my trip down to Florida should not impact anything on the channel, anything on the podcast. I've already got everything ready to go. We'll have an upcoming on Wednesday will be our Putter Madness regional round 2. On Friday, I'll go ahead and spoil it for you. It'll be the back 9 of my Wright State Casual Friday series. And then I'll see you guys back here next Monday for episode number 8 of the First Available podcast. Like I said, I do greatly appreciate you. I know I say that all the time, and I really do. As much as I love doing this because I like watching and doing it, the fact that even if it's only one person out there that enjoys watching or listening to these episodes or the channel or whatnot, it's good enough for me. So thank you all that come along, and I'll see you next time.